Hey, welcome into the Craig Houston podcast. One of the major episodes that I told you I was going to get involved in and give you information on eventually, which has been a very long time because I've been setting this up for a while, is actually how to get started in Airbnb. I know that a lot of people are looking at this from a lens of, the markets are shifting, home prices are going down, interest rates are shifting a lot, but Airbnb is a great way to build out your wealth and to invest in property that can actually grow into maybe even a gold mine. Let my guests tell you. So today I'm pleased and enthusiastically happy to have Lauren Coats on. Hey Lauren, how you doing?
Hey, Craig, I'm doing great. Thanks.
Hey, I'm glad to have you here. Like I told the audience, I know, and before we even got together today, I was like, man, we've been talking about doing this since last year, early this year, and now we're moving to 2023, and we're just not getting this done. This is for folks who don't understand. This is about 8 months in the making to make this show happen. And as a content creator, I've never had anything like this happen to me, and now I'm just like, really excited to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's actually perfect timing because I've just launched my course a few weeks ago here. It's just got up live on Teachable. So it's really excellent timing, I think, for all the viewers.
Which is perfect because we're going to break some of that down too and give some of the folks information, and we have some things in store for you, so you want to keep watching this episode or listening to it on stream because we're going to get into a lot of things. Lauren, let's start with, how did you even get started in Airbnb? Let's back it up a little bit.
Amazing. So, yeah, it was actually back in 2016, and I had just been traveling for about 5 years around the world. I studied graphic design, so I became a digital nomad, and I was just doing graphic design from my computer. But I felt called to return to California and start a business, have some grounded. So, right when I got back to California after visiting 20 countries and staying in guest house and living in hotels and hostels for years, I got approached actually by a friend who said, "Look, I have this friend. He's a property owner. He has 6 units that are empty. He wants someone to set up and run Airbnb." And I was like, I had stayed in a few Airbnbs on my travels, but I thought this was an excellent opportunity. So we just started to hustle. We got a truck. We were on free Craigslist. We furnished this thing on a super budget. And I basically taught myself as I went, what am I looking for in cleaners? How does the cleaning schedule work? What kind of design is getting more bookings? What kind of titles are getting more bookings? What price points are getting more bookings? So I would say over the last 6 years, just being involved in hosting, thousands of travelers, and then also learning as the markets changed, how you can diversify from outside Airbnb onto other platforms or direct booking, really to optimize whatever your financial goals are and to really attract the kind of clients that you want. So I would say it's been a really long journey. In the last 2, 3 years, I've more been doing consulting. So I'm just helping property owners to set up and manage and develop systems for their own Airbnb business so they can have more freedom, know where to invest their money, know how to run it, on their chosen lifestyle. Because I always say the magic is you can design your lifestyle with Airbnb. You just
Mm.
hire the people to do the things you don't want to do so you can kind of set your schedule.
Okay, so I want to catch refocus on something real quick that you said. You said you visited 20 countries during this time frame. That's as a digital nomad. Okay,
Yes.
what was the so just for my sake, what was the best one?
Oh man. Well, Brazil always wins.
Okay,
Brazil always wins. But I would say I really, really, really loved Turkey also. That
okay,
was amazing. And Italy, of course, and India are always at the top, I'd say as
wow.
well.
So for the reason why I asked that is because we were doing this podcast virtually, obviously, but we're doing it where Lawrence actually home based out of Brazil right now at this point in time. So that makes this even more of a special tool that we're actually getting an opportunity to speak to someone who has creatively set themselves up to feel that they don't have to worry about anything, but they got things set up to help people out best as much as they can. So, okay, let's go back and talk about exactly how much how much should someone actually who's thinking about getting started into doing Airbnb, how much money do they actually need to have up front to get started?
Amazing. So I would say that really varies upon what you already have and
Mm-hmm.
what your structure is going to be. And I'll give you a few examples here. So let's say I have a fully furnished home and I'm like, you know what, I'm working remotely or I'm taking a break, I want to go travel a bit and put my house on Airbnb, the investment is going to be very tiny because you have everything set up. Maybe you just buy some fresh bedding and do a deep clean, right? So that's a small investment. If on the opposite end, if you're going to be renting a place or buying a place just to do Airbnb and the place is empty, you have no furniture, you have no bedding, you need to start up with security deposit, all that kind of thing. Depending where you are and how thrifty you want to be, getting secondhand furniture, bargain hunting, I usually say that number is between and $12,000.
Okay, so now 5 to 12, so 5 to 12K is based on actually like being like a subletter of the property that you're actually doing the hosting from.
Yeah, and I can break that down super simply. So let's say we're doing a new Airbnb in Virginia, our
Okay.
favorite place. Let's just use Richmond for example, right? Richmond doesn't have super high property; it's pretty affordable. So let's say we get like a really, you know, decent, nice, kind of clean apartment uh, for $1,000 a month, right? So we have
Okay.
$1,000 first month's rent, $1,000 security deposit, and then easily, 1,000 to 3,000 with furniture, bedding, utilities, Wi-Fi, and maybe doing some small repairs. So you could get super thrifty on that. You could, like I said, if you have an SUV, you could stay on Craigslist on Let Go and really furnish cheaply. Bedding is usually going to be one of the standard investments that is at least $400.
Right. Okay. Okay. So now that is I just want to kind of like break this down a little bit more. So basically,
Sure.
let's say okay, so basically right now currently a for rent by owner who may have a property that's on the market as vacant and they're looking for a tenant comes in, say, hey, for rent by owner, Mr. Buyer, I really want to rent your home, but then I want to also be able to be afforded the opportunity to sublet it. So I'm going to make sure that you get your rent each month, but then everything else beyond that is their profit after they whatever they put in. So first month deposit, and then they rent at the end of the month, and then whatever they spend to actually furnish the property the way they need to, which is about $3,000, $4,000 based on what's going on, and then boom, that you're almost open for business right away.
Yes, exactly. And I can give you a few points as well for talking to landlords about why Airbnb is actually in their benefit.
Wow,
Um,
let's talk about it.
yeah. So, I mean, like a lot of people will, when they approach, you have it right on the nose. It's like approaching buy owner rentals is going to be a little bit better than property manager because they're going to property management companies because they're going to have, legal standards that they've
Mhm.
presented to all their clients. But if you're doing it someone who owns it, that's kind of how you want to start if you're going to start off right the bat with the sublet. There are luxury apartments that let you do Airbnb, but you have to kind of seek those out as well. So, yeah, you can basically say, look, I'm going to put really strict rules on my Airbnb. I'm going to put, and you can tell them, I'm going to say quiet hours are from this time to this time, no parties. You can let them know what rules you have in mind. I'm going to put strict rules because I don't want anyone, messing up my furniture, my investment, right? You can also let them know, this apartment's going to be cleaned, anywhere from 3 to 10 times a month. Do you have any other tenants that are gonna deep clean your property 10 times a month?
That is absolutely true.
Yeah,
Absolutely true.
and then you can also make this kind of barter with them and say, "Look, I'll take care of all these repairs a normal tenant wouldn't do. I'll do the plumbing, I'll do the light bulbs, I mean, I'll do the garbage disposal." You can take on a certain, gift to them, kind of like a trade, right? "I'll
Right.
take on these repairs, so you'll never hear from me. My rent check will always be on time. I'll pay you a week in advance." You can
Mm.
kind of start to offer some things that they know, like, they're definitely getting paid because you're getting paid. You're taking optimal care of their property, and you're in there, taking care of it as well.
Right. Okay. So that is also so someone who's listening to this doesn't is I think one of the things that people think of when they think about Airbnb is they say, hey, I got to buy a property first, an investment property to get started in this. But you have like kind of already outlined the blueprint on You don't necessarily need the property. You just need to have the intellect to have the conversation about somebody else letting you borrow their property to do the air host to be an Airbnb host.
Absolutely. And I would recommend making a little list of those tips I just suggested, and you kind of write down what you're willing to offer. A lot of people who do this will offer the homeowner a little bit more than what they're asking. So they'll say,
Right.
by the way, I'll give you an extra 200 a month, and I'll put this many months up front. I mean, I don't technically recommend that, but you could offer, 3 months rent up front. You could always keep in front of it and let them, you can even do shorter contracts with them. Like, look, we'll do 6 months. And if you're not happy, then I'll leave. Right. So you make like really attractive terms for the owner. Sometimes people will offer a percentage of sales, but I recommend just kind of doing like an upfront bribe
Right.
because you need to keep track of all your expenses in such a detailed way, right? And I think
Yeah,
it's
because
just more.
yeah, net leasing is terrible. I don't even know who came up with the idea of net leasing. That is the worst thing ever because then you got to always remember, like you said, you got to keep track of everything and make sure that you're giving a percentage of it. No, I wouldn't agree to that either. That's
Yeah, and then you also gotta let them know how much you're making, which you really,
right.
if
You
you're
really don't want
making
to open the
bank.
books to nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so that is awesome. Okay, so we've already outlined how you can get started with the lowest minimum cost to you. Let's talk about basically once you've identified that and you found the property because you found a property owner who may want to work with you in this idea at least for 6 months. What's next? What should the person who's actually looking to invest actually look to do next? What should they be worried about anything legally first, or should they be doing their research to see if it's even well? Before let's back up because I feel like there should be some research done first before you approach a property owner about actually getting into the business with them of actually being a subletter.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely have some foundational points here. Um, Based on your last question, I'll just add two more quick points. Is that the investment can definitely be between five and $15,000, very easily. But I also recommend hosts if they have a spare room, if they have a back house, if they have a family property, if they have let's say it's kind of a half empty property, or maybe you want to become a big Airbnb investor and you and your partner kind of stay at each other's homes, maybe just move in together temporarily, Airbnb the other place. There's never a problem to start small. There's never a problem to start with a available space, even if you're doing a partnership with someone. Like, let's say you have a buddy that has a spare room, he works, he's never really home. You only rent out the spare room on the days that he's gone, right? And you have some kind of thing. So you get familiar with it because there is.
Right.
Yeah, and then you get more comfortable, you get the eyes for it, you're able to evaluate how the flow is, and then you'll feel more confident to expand. So, I always say, it doesn't hurt to start small, with low investment and a space already available to you or someone in your network.
Yeah, it gives you the muscle memory. I see what you're saying. Like it basically makes you feel confident in what you're doing to move into a bigger expansion, like you already based it off of. So yeah, that makes sense. I like that.
Yeah, and it's definitely gonna enhance your creativity too, because then, you feel more comfortable, you feel like you know what you're doing, and then you can allow yourself to expand bigger based on the practical knowledge you already have. Because if
Yes.
you haven't ran an Airbnb before, you have, I wouldn't, dreaming as big as possible, can only go so far when you have
Right.
little experience. Yeah, so definitely I highly recommend people to do research. So here I'm going to get like a tiny bit technical, but if you have a little bit of real estate knowledge, this may be very basic to you. So we have what's known as the primary residence, which is where, the government has your driver's license or your ID, your tax, this is the residence that the government thinks that that's where you live, right? So with Airbnb and short-term rentals, it's called STR, the initials for short. So when you're Googling, you're basically looking for STR regulations. That's going to be There's going to be different laws for primary residence in a lot of states and a lot of cities. So if it's your primary residence, it's where you live most of the year, and you're putting it on Airbnb. In a lot of city districts, you'll be allowed to rent it out all year, 120 days, 180 days. You have some rights there. If it's a secondary residence, so it's a investment property, you don't live there whatsoever. In some cities, in some states, it's completely illegal to do short-term rental on these secondary residences. So I highly recommend people when they're doing the legal research to go to google.com or your favorite search engine. You may want to even check more than one search engine if you use an alternative one, and type in STR regulations. And we'll just use Richmond, Virginia, for example. So STR regulations, Richmond, Virginia. STR laws, Richmond, Virginia. STR ordinances, Richmond, Virginia. And you'll be looking on the main page, the all page, but then you also want to click over to the news page, because if there's any meetings going on, if there's any latest council meetings, if there's the government is talking about some things, if there's some kind of protest going on, like in Los Angeles, there was a housing crisis, there were like protests against Airbnb, you'll get in the know really quick about what's in the pipeline, what's coming up, because the laws may be supporting you now, but you didn't click the news, you didn't see that in 3 weeks they're, voting to change it, right?
Right. Okay. So is there anything that typically that you're looking for specifically that stands out to you that like I'm automatically going into these pages and looking directly for this information first?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's tricky to do the research, but this is kind of a new phenomenon, this Airbnb short-term rental entrepreneurial cash cow boom. It's really what it
Right.
is. So a lot of government agencies, they don't really have like an Airbnb STR office. They're kind of like adding these laws or regulations into an existing governing body. And for each city or small village or town or state, it looks different. What part of the government is managing this? What part of the government has been, given the responsibility to regulate it, to, take action with enforcing it? So sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes it's like the zoning people who give permits for construction and things like that. A lot of times that will be the department that's setting the rules, but you'll have to sometimes do a little digging. If you live in a very small town, it may be easier because then you can just call the local, county government and ask directly, and they'll know. Some places it
Okay.
might be more tricky.
Got you. Okay. So basically, do you think that's going to change? I guess the question is, you may not have an idea, but as an ambassador, because for a lot of people who don't know, Lauren is an Airbnb ambassador. We'll get into that here in a minute. But the question I would have: do you think there will be some type of established office or a zoning commission that will start to like worry about what's going on with Airbnb predominantly?
I would say this is definitely in the gray zone because a lot of hosts, it's illegal and they keep hosting and they never get any letters, they never get any neighbor complaints, and they successfully host for years without any enforcement. And it's kind of like the law is a technicality, but it's still kind of allowed. So it's it's kind of hard to know. When I was researching Richmond in depth for one of my clients, I saw that I think, only 3 letters had been sent out from this office to hosts, letting them know they
Mm,
needed to shut down. And there are thousands upon thousands of these Airbnbs operating illegally. And so they were even thinking to change the law because it's kind of embarrassing that they're not doing any
anything
regulation.
about it, right? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So just making them look bad. They were like, okay, let's
Yeah.
just revert it because we're obviously not going to enforce it.
Wow. Okay. So we have our research is to basically you want to start with a Google search at least at a basic to figure out what's the short-term rental regulations in your county, district, state, and city. Really and truly.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
will I will give a few extra pointers here. So there may be none. If you live in a small town or a village, there may be 0. And if you don't find anything, it's because it doesn't exist.
Right.
Um, I wouldn't have fear around this. It's really just a first step of due diligence so you can dream a little bit bigger and make your business plan around it. And of course, if you're going to invest $15,000, you definitely want to spend, maybe a few hours just really checking and knowing. I've called office to office to office trying to get information in certain cities, and it's kind of like no one really knows because it's not their day-to-day situation. It's really a teeny tiny part of the law that's new that hasn't been solidified, really, I'd say.
Okay. So let's start with the business plan because we already talked about regulations or doing research. and then we talked about actually approaching how to source the right avenue to actually host to start becoming a host. So let's talk about basically building that business plan, or how are you establishing a business plan that you want to set up for the type of hosting that you want to do.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely. So, with anyone who's thinking about doing Airbnb, they really see the opportunity here because there's really a lot of money in Airbnb with real estate. It's much more profitable in certain markets to do Airbnb versus having long-term tenants. You could be doubling, tripling, 5xing your potential profits. So, what I would say is that when you're planning to, evaluate your local market, check and see if your local market supports your business plan or your location or your idea. The first thing you're going to want to do is go to airbnb.com and type in your location of the property that you're either looking at buying, the location of where your property is, and or what you're thinking about, and then put the similar amenities in. So you're going to put, let's say Richmond, Virginia. I won't select any dates. You can put 2 guests and you'll go to the next screen. And then there'll be a filters button. And the filters button is where you can put, I want a beach side, I want, Wi-Fi, I want a kitchen, I want this many bedrooms. I would say pick the amenities, very basic, that are the same as yours. So if you have a 2 bedroom, 2 bath apartment in Richmond, Virginia, just select those two, maybe put Wi-Fi and kitchen because those are very basic and you want to make sure those are. And then you want to look and see what all the competition is making. And that those first rentals that come up are usually going to be the super hosts. They're usually going to have the best reviews and basically going to have the highest review score. So when you click on those first ones that pop up, you'll be able to click on their calendar and you can see how full they are. So let's say there's a rental, I didn't even know. I just looked and it's 2 houses down from me. And I look and see that it's all booked up. It's booked up for
Really?
six. Let's say I see that it's booked up
Yeah,
for six
yeah,
months.
yeah. Got
And
you.
it's not just grayed out. It has like, one day here, Tuesdays here, 3 days here empty. So I know that these are organic, real bookings. It's not just someone's home that has a live listing that's blocked the calendar. You see what I mean?
Right.
And then I can read the reviews and I can see, oh, someone reviewed it, 2 weeks ago. Someone reviewed it last month. Okay, this is a live rental. And that's really the first step you're going to want to do is check out what your competition is, who's successful, and just kind of familiarize yourself with what a successful listing looks like.
You know what this is to me? This is called reverse engineering that Lauren is talking about. Oh my goodness! So basically, it's another business that business model that I've seen where I'm actually involved in trying to get that business off the ground. Is that we always look into other people's inventory. Like we basically go, we already know that we're selling this product, so we want to go see what the competition is selling in association with, so we can try to get on those listings as well. And basically, I check the inventory to see what it's selling, and then see if I can source the same item at a reasonable price to be competitive. And that is reverse engineering on Airbnb inventory. That's amazing.
Oh, exactly. And sometimes I share this with people, and it seems like maybe they don't have patience for that. They're like, "Oh man, I'm gonna have to click around and things like that." But for me, I get excited. I'm
Yeah,
like,
because that tells you how much because you could take their pricing. You could take how much they're actually pricing their home for, about the amount of bookings that they're getting, and you can say, wow, they making that much money that month.
Exactly. So when you click exactly. When you click on the calendar, usually depending on your device, it will drop down and it will show you their nightly pricing as well. So you'll see, oh, on the weekends they're charging, 219. On Monday and Tuesday nights they're charging 169. Oh, on Christmas they're charging 329. And you can kind of see how they're doing their pricing. So that's like it's your kindergarten, your first grade, you're building your knowledge. You're looking at what a successful listing looks like, and then you read the reviews and you see what are people complaining about? What are people saying that they liked? If every single review is saying, "Oh my gosh, they have this amazing thing in the kitchen. It made our trip totally worth it." Okay, see if you want to buy that too. If people are like, "Oh, the location's amazing, it's very close to this coffee shop and this brewery," and you see that everyone is talking about that and you're also near that, well, then you can put that in your listing as well. So
That's
it's
so
not
crazy.
yeah, it's not copying, it's basically seeing how does your competition highlight the benefits of the location, of the space, and how can you actually one up them? So that's usually where I
That's
like to
amazing.
take it. But to lay the foundation, it's first you want to see, and it's even better if you can slip into the mind frame of traveler. So you can be like, okay, if I was, going here for, my vacation, I only get 2 weeks vacation, I'm going to see my family, and I'm going to try to get into the traveler's point of view. I pull up my competition. Whose photos, scream trust to me? Whose photos scream wow to me? Whose photos say, this is a cozy, comfortable, clean place? Because the number one error that Airbnb hosts make is bad photography. That's literally
Wow, agents. I say the
it.
same thing about agents. I say You're absolutely on to something. That's so crazy. Yeah, because you build trust. You make people want to come there.
Yeah, and sometimes I try to think, how can I say this without sounding offensive? But it's kind of like if you have bad photography, you're basically telling the traveler, I'm not professional. I don't really know what I'm doing. You can't trust me. It's probably not going to be clean. I might not show up, and this might be a nightmare vacation for you. It's kind of like entering the spooky haunted house. It's like they're blurry photos, they're taken of the corner that doesn't have anything in it. It's kind of like I got the willies thinking about going here on my vacation.
Oh my goodness. That is so critical. You're right. I can see that being critical. So I don't book Airbnb that much, but when I have booked Airbnb, the one thing I wanted to know is that was I going to be safe where I was going to be at?
Yes,
And that's the first
exactly.
thing that comes to mind. So I can see your point here. And but what's really crazy to me that when you say people don't want to they don't want to do the research, I would even take it a step further. I would go stay at the competition at least one night.
Yeah, yeah, you sound like the king of reverse engineering, and that's exactly right. So, I highly recommend people, and, actually in the course that I've created, it's, the course I created basically for people to figure out if Airbnb hosting is right for them, right? Because that's where I really think you start. Like, my book, it really starts with, "Okay, you have the space, you're sure you wanna do it, let's get started." And the book just starts with, "You're sure, let's move forward." But the course is really about, let's do the due diligence to see if you actually want to do this, if it makes sense for you, right? I think that's a more important place to start when you're thinking about investing your savings, creating your new income stream and really chasing a goal and a dream. That due diligence is exciting. So in the course, I actually have these kind of guides where it's like, okay, what does the competition have that you don't have? What does the competition have, that what do you have that they don't have? How do they describe the location to sell it? Write down these adjectives. What are the reviews saying, about the benefits?
Mm.
So then we collect this data of like how people are selling the neighborhood, how your competition is expressing itself. And then of course you're going to take all your unique features and then, basically just build on what they've already established is working for the local marketing.
Okay, so now we're 3 steps in, and I already have 2 pages of notes. Okay, so let's start with okay. So let's recap so far where we're at. So
Sure.
you do your research first. Find out if if you can even you need to avoid some type of short-term rental regulations or laws that's going to get you in trouble. Right? Understand what your city has available to you. Secondly, we said okay, you need to identify what type of property that you compare with, or even if you can't get your own property to start with, identify a property that you can actually maybe even sublet and put your smallest amount of investment money into it as possible.
Yes. If
Okay.
that makes sense to you and how you
Yeah,
want to start.
right. All right. And then three, we said reverse engineer the process of what somebody else at your competition has already done and see how that can benefit you. And I think what you have stumbled upon to me is that what would get me excited is to see how much they're generating annually based on their bookings by just looking at the calendar as much as I possibly can and seeing if I can even replicate 20% of that.
Yes. So I would say that that's the primary thing. First, we look at, we put the filter to the exact same. We look at maybe 5 to 10 listings, really take some notes of what we think is working. And we also write down how many of these people have terrible photography and how many of these people I would never stay there, right? Because then you're kind of
Yes.
seeing where the competition lays and how you can one up them. Then I highly recommend everyone go to, and you're also going to write down like how many listings are there. So you can click on the map feature and you can see, oh wow, there's 1,000 rentals around me, or there's
Right.
only two and they're fully booked. That's a fantastic sign about supply and demand. Um, I'll go into more about creating the business plan and how you can evaluate if it's right for you to set up the Airbnb. But, supply and demand isn't exactly, black or white, because even if there's a great supply in your local area, if you're looking at all these listings and knowing that you could get a better photographer and that you could do a better decoration, and you see a bunch of, these things are not full, you just know that how you need to design your niche, what niche you need to go into with your photography, with your decoration, to make your rental like the no-brainer. People look and they're like, whoa, it looks like an interior design magazine, just not even from the furniture, just from the quality of the photos,
Photos,
right?
right? Exactly.
Yeah, so then we go to airdna.co, and this
Okay.
is super crucial. It's not airdna.com, it's airdna.co. You pay basically around $40, $39 for 1 month access to one location. So it's a tiny investment, but a million times worth it. For example, I type in Richmond, Virginia, it comes up, I pay the $40. I can see all the vacation rental data of Airbnb and VRBO for the last year, for the last years. It shows me exactly the occupancy rate, how many nights, the average price, and it breaks it down into percentiles. So you see the top 90th percentile, those are the top 10% of rentals, the most expensive ones, and it shows you by bedroom and bathroom count. So I can look up my exact rental. Okay, I have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath in the city of Richmond. Okay, the top luxury, the top 10%, they're making an average of this, and it has graphs, and you can see the occupancy rate per each month. You can see the occupancy rate over the last 5 years. You can see the number of active rentals in your area, and you can also do that for the 75th percentile. So that's going to be like the top 25%. Then you have the 50th, and then you have the lowest amount, which is, the real economy places. So you get a super foundational blueprint of what's possible for you.
So my thing would be, okay, if I'm new, so which percentile would I want to attack first? Like the reason why I asked that is because like what we just talking about reverse engineering, when I use my same practice of what I say what we're doing now with sales, if it's not in the top 1%, we don't even attack it. Like
Mhm.
so, like if it's 2%, it may have great sales, but it may still make me say I don't want to have a part in that because the 1 percentile, I know I have a better chance of selling that all the time. So, and when you go into Airbnb, what is the percentile target that you're actually looking for?
Yeah, definitely. So it would definitely depend on your strategy. So let's say your strategy was, you're in California on the beach, you found this luxury apartment building that has a gym and a rooftop pool. Some miracle situation, they let you do Airbnb, right? So you have this view of the ocean, you have the rooftop pool. I would say make your place a minimal luxury place. Have a few pieces of furniture, but they have them be designer and modern. Do all white bedding, and do some ambient lighting, have some fancy coffee that you offer, some fancy soaps, do something that's, some really, really nice towels. But the place can be almost empty. Travelers don't necessarily want a crowded room full of, grandma's knickknacks. A lot of people in some places it would be very cozy and homey to have those. But in this particular example,
Right.
I would go for the 300 to 500 per night range and have that be my business model. Now, if this is a country cabin home, in the middle of nowhere that my family owns, but it's very comfortable, it's clean, it's got this cozy family vacation feeling, but I don't want to invest $10,000 in making it all new furniture. It doesn't make sense to make it a luxury, modern designer
Right.
cottage. So then maybe the price is going to be, depending on the bedrooms, something between 150 to 375 per night. And that's kind of the place where it's going to live. There's not really a market for something more than that.
So are you using, so AirDNA gives you all these analytics that you're using, but then also after the analytics are provided to you, are you having to go back and kind of mirror what the listings that you're looked at on Airbnb? matches up to the percentiles of the analytics that you're looking at?
Yeah, so I mean, I suggest people to start with the local competition research because then you've just kind of read chapter 1 of you're kind of on
Gotcha.
the
Your
road
business plan.
already.
Yeah.
You're
Right. Yeah.
familiar, you have a feeling of what the supply is, you have a feeling of who your competition is, and you have a feeling of how much they're making and per night, their average, and then you have a feel of their occupancy rate based on just checking them out, right? And I do recommend you to take some notes, while you're looking at it. How full is this calendar? Okay, it looks about 50% full to me. How full is this place? And then you can create your business plan. So what I recommend people to do when they got all this data, they don't necessarily know how to implement it into their business plan. This is the blueprint that I give. Make a list of all the months of the year, January, February, March, etc., right? And then write down the average occupancy rate. So let's say that and AirDNA is going to tell you what the top 90th percentile is going for per night. So let's say you looked at the competition, you see that the 450 per night is actually much better than what you can offer because they have a
Right.
rooftop pool. And you kind of see, okay, based on my competition, I think, around 250 or 150 is, where I'm going to start with what I have, right? So then you just write down the occupancy rate that you see on AirDNA for your exact rental. And I
Mm,
think once you look at it, you'll have a feeling of where you land. So let's say I had this 2-bedroom, 2-bath in Richmond, this apartment, and it's got stainless steel appliances and stuff, but I'm using some kind of old furniture that I inherited. It's clean, it's kind of cute. I've made it eclectic, but it's not luxury. So let's say I'm hoping to get 200 a night average. Maybe some nights 150, maybe some nights on the weekends a little more. Then I can say, okay, I think I'm about in the 50 or 65%. So I look at all the data and then I just basically plug in, I do the math for the year. I see, okay, based on what AirDNA is telling me, I can expect, this occupancy rate for each month. And then with the average price of, let's say, 200, because I know I'm going to charge 250 on some nights and 150 on some nights, and in low season I'm going to get less, in high season I'm going to get more. And then we have our initial investment. So our initial investment is going to be the setup cost. So then we just get out the calculator and we see, okay, 50% rate is 14 nights. 14 nights times 200, okay, I can expect 2,800 or whatever it is, right, for this month.
right.
So then you have the whole calculation of your projected income, and then you have your initial investment, which let's say was $3,000 because I happen to have this property already. And then I have my recurring expenses, which is somewhere between, $100 and $300 a month. That's going to be for utilities, for toilet paper, paper towels, trash bags, and the occasional maintenance call.
Okay. So, man, wow. Okay. So, still, I'm taking notes. So, but I'm
Oh,
paying attention at the same time, and I'm thinking to myself as you're telling me these things, and I have just a question that I have now, as someone who will be beginning in Airbnb is okay. Talk to me about why this strategy works so ideal. How much? Why would I? What can I actually expect my return on investment to be recouped? How soon?
exactly. Yes. So usually the second year statistics of this business plan calculation, the profit is going to be double, triple, quadruple because you don't have that initial setup cost eating out of your budget. Um, but I would say based on if you're setting up from scratch and you have a top 90th percentile, you have a luxury rental, maybe you're going to make it back faster. Maybe you had a big setup cost, but actually you're only getting $100 per night, then it's going to take you longer to
Yeah, it's
get
going to
back
eat
your
away at it.
investment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's
So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, that's why I recommend to do the business plan.
Okay, got it. So the business plan that we're at now in the stage of is basically making sure what's your ROI and understanding what your basically understand what your return on investment is and understanding can you live with that.
Yes. And that's exactly why I recommend this step as being like what you do before you really call any landlords or anything, is because you want to make sure those numbers make sense. Every market is
Right.
different. Let's say a small village in Minnesota, it might have, a very low occupancy rate in certain months, but certain months might be like super high touristic and all the Airbnbs are full and there's not enough demand, right? So then you could build a strategy where, let's say you have, 30, you have a 6-month tenant or a sublet, a longer term tenant in the low season, and then you Airbnb it in the high season. So I would say based on the numbers that you're looking at, you'll see, is this something I want to put my time and energy into? And do these numbers, is it worth it for me? Yeah.
So then, as a new host, well, I have to worry about cleaning fees. So how would I identify um a cleaner for my property?
Yes, this is a really special connection that you're going to make with your cleaner. So, if you have one property, if you have maybe two in the same area, maybe you have like a friend or someone you know, or maybe a maid that you've been using, so it's more of like a personal experience. But if you're running a few rentals or a rental that's far away from you, I recommend to get what I call a head cleaner, and this could be a maid service with one person that knows your property. She's kind of designated to you. Or this could be a cleaner that you find that's kind of running her own little operation where she has a lot of cleaner friends that work with her sometimes. And this head cleaner is going to be responsible for your properties. So you just pay her, you just give her the schedule, and then she's going to schedule, and she's like running her own little entrepreneurial business.
Entrepreneurship business.
Yeah, and this to
So
me,
wait. Oh no. Wait, so you mean to tell me I am such a dog. I am such a honk. Look, so you mean to tell me that somebody can start out being a cleaning head cleaner for Airbnb properties, make enough money out of their entrepreneurship business from cleaning, and flip themselves into an Airbnb host and already have a pipeline of cleaners.
yes, yes. And I'm gonna be honest, they love it because
Wow.
it's not deep cleaning. And they have and let me give you a few pain points first to explain why this is the golden key for cleaners, having a head cleaner, because I did it every other way until I figured this out, and I just happened to figure this out, luckily. So I tried to hire cleaning services that specialize in Airbnb, but the turnaround window, usually checkouts around 11 a.m. and check-ins around 3 p.m. So these Airbnb professional cleaner services, they only have 4 hours to hit all their clients, mostly.
Period. Across the county, the state, or whatever, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they're bum rushing in with a team of 5 people, and they're trying to get in and out in 30 minutes. So the amount of oversight, the times that they didn't change the bed, I was running this in Los Angeles, they left wet towels. There was just, like, so much oversight because they were in a rush. And, yeah, and so, like, if a cleaner doesn't do a proper job, quickly you get a bad review and something gross happens. It's just
Yes.
kind of standard when you're hosting thousands of people. So
Right.
the cleaner is the most special connection to nurture, you know. For me, my cleaner is my best friend. My cleaner is my bread and butter. My cleaner is my queen, you know. I don't see her as my employee. I see her as the foundation of if I'm going to eat or not next month. Because if she doesn't do a good job, then I'm going to get a bad review and then no one's going to book for a month or two.
This is so bananas. Like my brain is like fireworks are just going off inside my brain at this point in time. I've never even thought about how intricate these cleaners are. And if you were absolutely right, if they actually get the business plan where they can actually serve a host who can refer them to another host, or they can just pay them more so they don't go to another host, like that could be such a powerful tool.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I explain the cleaner. I say spoil them, overpay them, and treat them like royalty. That's my cleaner operations philosophy
Oh
because
my goodness.
I had some other pain points happen where it's just like I hired 5 cleaners that were separate, they didn't know each other. And then like one had an emergency because she's part-time. So she doesn't prioritize me. If her son has an emergency or she gets a better cleaning job, she's not going to show up. So because I'm only giving part-time work, I need these people to be like really not wanting to lose the job because the job is so good. So they need to prioritize me above everything else they have going on in their life. And they need to be flexible because sometimes guests will text you at 10:59 and be like, "Oh, can we extend another day?" And my cleaner
Right.
is outside. So then my cleaner, I have to be like, "Sorry, it's tomorrow." And the cleaner, I'm not going to pay her twice. That's kind of part of the gig. And
Right.
then the next morning she's there and they decide to extend again. So this is like a friendship. I found it to be a friendship because sometimes it's weird. People leave weird stuff. The cleaner's a little bit like, why did they leave that? And then I have to be like, okay, let me just pay you an extra $50, you
Right.
know? And yeah, I guess it would be like a symbiotic
It
relationship.
is. It is like because now you've identified the pain point of your business.
Yes, and then if you hire cleaners that don't know each other, maybe one won't show up and she won't tell you. So I have like a cleaning checklist, and I recommend that hosts, like right when their cleaner gets there, the protocol is they take a picture of the keys and they text it to you. So that means the guest left the keys and I got in here. I know
Got you.
it showed up. So yeah, and I found an amazing woman and she had a team of like 10 friends. And so I gave them the cleaning checklist. I said, look, you need to train each woman or each cleaner on the place for at least 4 times before you send her alone. And then if anything's not done, I just anonymously come in. I'll text you 15 minutes when I'm on the way to the property, let you know I'm coming, but I'm just going to, spontaneously show up sometimes and do kind of check-ins just for quality control. And then I had a system where if anything I found that was not correct, I had like a fine system. So I charge them like $5 or $10. Oh, you didn't clean out the fridge. That's a big no-no. The fridge is gross inside. There's spilled stuff. This is bad. This is $10 off. Oh, you.
We definitely got to get your cleaner on this show. We need to have your cleaner on this show. I need to know. I need to know the details of what the cleaning process really looks like at an Airbnb site. Like nobody probably talks about stuff like this, but definitely for you to have a fine system set up that way, I could imagine the lengths of time people have to go through just to make sure that the house is clean. It may not seem like a lot, but it's impactful enough to where if you don't get paid or you have to deduct pay or give a client back some funds because something didn't happen, or you may have to give the whole visit free. You that
Yeah.
that house cleaner don't get to eat.
Exactly. So, to basically summarize it in a nutshell as a takeaway for the listeners and for you as well, I would say first step is, you need to make your ad or make your advertisement or, contact these cleaning services and let them know exactly what you need. I was running 6 Airbnbs at the same time, 6 rentals. So that's why I had a team and I got logistics set up because I wanted to make my life as easy as possible. I don't want to be texting 6 cleaners each day to confirm that they actually showed up and then doing emergency damage control because 3 of them didn't show up and I need to go clean, right? Or
Right.
so yeah, I would say first thing is, put out your ad and just let exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people that are willing to clean my vacation rentals. I pay this much per hour, this much per job, and you kind of put your ad out there with your expectations. That would obviously be the first step. Obviously, call some maid services, call friends that have cleaners, see if they have a network. But you're looking kind of like for a little posse of cleaners that all want to clean your vacation rentals. They all want that extra client, that extra hustle, that extra income. So for them, it's really valuable to have another client that they can possibly fill in for sometimes, right? Then you
Right.
have this head cleaner lady who you give her the schedule. This is this month's schedule. She's gonna pay everybody. She's gonna schedule everybody. You only tell her what's going on. You only pay her. This eliminates so much headache. And then I would recommend people to pay per job because if you pay hourly, they might just hang out there a little longer.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
right. Yeah, you need them gone. You need them out the way so you can get that client in.
yeah, and if you pay by job and don't have any system in place, that, if they don't do a good job, they lose something, then, they'll just kind of rush in and rush out, and there's no quality control there. So, for them, they get paid, $90 or $80 if they're there for an hour or 3 hours. So, yeah, I'd recommend to have that kind of system. And then I also showed my cleaner Airbnb. I said, "This is how Airbnb works. These are my reviews. This is my cleaning score." I said, "If I get below a 4.5 on my cleaning score, you're out." I'm sorry, I didn't say it like that, but I'm like, I cannot employ you anymore if it's less than 4.5, because as you see, my average is 4.79. And
Oh man.
and if I get a bad review, I'm gonna lose all my money. And so I let her know, like, "You are the success of my business. My business fails directly. My business is in your hands." So I let
Wow.
them know how serious this was.
Wow.
And then I let
Okay.
yeah.
This is amazing. That is amazing part of the business that I didn't even take. Like I see the cleaning fee as in the obviously the invoice that you get, but I never pay attention to like how really serious. Because I stayed at an Airbnb. Real quick story, and we're gonna make it real short.
Oh.
We we did our Airbnb. We stayed at Airbnb in Vegas, and it was like in North Vegas. We went there. We stayed at the Airbnb. And then when we got up to leave the next day, we had to put the linen and the towels in the washer. It didn't have to
Mhm,
start it. We just had to put it in there for the cleaner. So I was like, well, if the cleaner is coming, ain't that part of the cleaner's job? But you charge me a cleaning fee?
mhm.
Like, so, but now, but obviously I'm thinking to myself, like, man, maybe I was doing it. Maybe it was a reason why I had to put the towels and stuff in there now. So, okay, got it.
Yeah, I like your story. It brings up a really great point. A lot of hosts will ask the guests to take out the trash, take out the recycling, water the plants, um, you know, take the mail inside, or to take all the sheets and towels and put them in the washer and start them, you know, and this is part of their business operations. But I don't recommend hosts do that. I don't know if that left a bad taste in your mouth, or
It
maybe it just
it did, but they waived the pet fee. So, which I didn't expect them to do. So we have a little Chihuahua, and we brought the
oh.
Chihuahua with us because we was traveling across country, to Virginia actually. So and then we brought the Chihuahua with us, and I guess because they got a camera in the garage, so I guess when they saw us pull in, they had already charged us the pet fee. But I guess when they saw what type of pet I had, and it didn't really make a damage anything or whatever, they waived the pet fee. So I didn't really care, but if they didn't waive the pet fee, it probably would have left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I don't I highly recommend hosts to make like a super smooth, comfortable, like relax. This is your cozy place, no stress. I've thought of everything. You don't need to worry about anything. If anything goes wrong, text me. I'll immediately take care of it. I really come to hosting with a philosophy. I actually have a chapter, the last chapter of my book is my philosophy about hosting. And I put that at the end just because it's really opinionated. And it's
Right.
basically like hosting a traveler is kind of a sacred duty. It's a job of honor. It costs a lot to go on vacation. It costs so much money. And you only have a certain amount of time that you're given off of work mostly. So for most people, this is the reason that they wake up in the morning. This is what motivates them to keep going at the job. This is one of those why I get out of bed, because I'm going to go to Aruba or I'm going to go to Las Vegas. I mean, not for everyone, but for a lot of people, it's kind of the goal point of why they take care of all the responsibilities they do. So if you're a host that's not attentive to details and you don't care about the guest experience being super smooth and easy and like they have no responsibilities, then you've potentially caused a lot of harm to someone's life, to their psyche, to their relations, because this is a family vacation, or this is a marriage trip, or you never know what state people are in. And even beyond that, vacation is usually the one time where people can be out of their day-to-day routine, and because they're in a different environment, in a different place, they can access a different part of themselves. Like they can maybe hear their intuition better because they're not in the like horse blinders. Okay, what do I have to do today? Okay, go to work, go to work, go to work. they kind of like open and relax, and then they can kind of reset, recharge, be inspired, release stress. It's for me, it's a super important job. So
Right.
I don't look to hosting as like just a cash flow. I see it as an opportunity to serve another person and bring them joy, and then they're going to appreciate me and give gratitude, and then I get it's like a win-win-win situation when you do like what I call like responsible hosting.
Oh yeah, you have a unique perspective because, like you said, how you got started was you traveled around the world, 20
Ah,
countries, and you've seen it all really and truly at this point in time when it comes to guest experiences, right? So you bring a unique perspective where I think where people don't undervalue like travelers in a certain way. Like I won't say everyone undervalue travelers, but like when you go like to, I spent $10,000 at Disney World like on a vacation that I stayed at the Disney Swan. It was a good time. It was on the park, but still, like I don't think I got $10,000 worth of value out of it. You know what I mean? Like, so and then I did it. And then I stayed at a vacation rental in when I went to Universal Studios the following year. And I think I spent more on that trip than I did the Disney World trip. And I don't think I got the value out of the place that I stayed at as part of that value package. So I do see your point, and it does make sense that like if you're going, you want to treat your guests obviously with more luxury than you would expect if you was to actually go on vacation.
yeah, yeah. I would say just cover the bases. Like, it's your spot, it's your apartment, it's your house. You're the one controlling the experience. So, if something goes wrong, take care of it right away. Don't like
Right.
put it on the back burner for tomorrow. Just make your guests know that you care about them having a good time and that you've
Now,
done everything you can to make sure that the experience is clean, comfortable, and like a good value.
I was gonna move on to our next topic, but I thought of this as I was sitting here talking about guest experience. This was in Vienna. So me and my friend, we went to Vienna for vacation. And we went to Vienna and we got from the airport to the Airbnb and I lost my wallet.
Oh
And
no.
I got directly to the Airbnb and I realized I didn't have my wallet. And literally I had just checked in with the Airbnb host and everything. And I told the Airbnb host, I think I left my wallet in the taxi. And we're in a whole nother country where they don't speak English as first language, right? So I'm like, man, so I'm talking to him. Luckily, he speaks English. So I'm talking to him, telling him through text that, hey, I lost my wallet. And I don't even remember if I knew the taxi number or anything of that sort. All I knew was I gave him some type of information. And 2 hours later, the guy called me back and said, the taxi's on his way with your wallet. The most
Oh.
amazing thing ever. I love that dude a huge tip.
Oh,
Huge
yeah.
tip. Like I was like, I had no expectation of getting this wallet back. My vacation was already ruined before it started in my mind. I like, I don't want to do nothing. I can't believe I'm here. They ain't got my money, I ain't got my ID, I ain't got nothing but my passport. And the taxi driver pulled back up to the Airbnb with the wallet laying right in the floor where it was at. I was like, wow, this is like the most amazing, probably by far the best Airbnb experience I had because it was a nice place. But then also to get that back, that's probably like best experience I had because I was like, man, this is gonna be terrible.
Mm. Yeah, see,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And I will say there is another part about Airbnb that supports this idea is that, the guests are going to review you at the end. And if your review score affects how much your listing is seen and what price you can
Mm,
charge. So I always tell people the golden key of starting, of course, is the number one, finding the best real estate wide angle lens photographer you can find in your area. But besides that, it's managing your guest expectation. So what have I said on the listing that, they're going to get, what
right.
is the experience they're getting? And then when they come, I need to meet those expectations, but I need to gently exceed them. That could be leaving a few bags of microwave popcorn, with a movie suggestion or something. That could be having a puzzle. It can be a few chocolates, a few nice waters in the fridge, and you just say, hey,
Right.
I left you guys some waters. It doesn't need to be anything. You don't need to get them a cheeky thing of wine or anything. It doesn't need to be hard. This
Right.
little bonus. It just basically says, I care that you're here. I'm thinking of you. I got you. If you need something, hit me up. And depending on the country and the place you're going, your Airbnb host can become your local tour guide and your friend too. Like
Absolutely.
my hosting style was really like, I'm never going to see you really because I have a self check in, but I've left you a local guide with a binder of my favorite suggestions. Before you arrived, I asked you if you wanted me to recommend anything so you can plan your trip. And I said, text me, call me anytime. I'm here. I live not far away. So they feel like fully encompassed, that they're safe and that they're cared for, which is the emotional support is a super important component for like starting off on the right foot with the guests, I'd say. But then I had like a little bonus. So then they're like, wow, this is better than I thought. And then they leave, like leaving me all 5 stars. There's no question. Because not only did I make them feel like safe and cared for, but I gave them a little surprise.
Right. So man, that's amazing. That is great part. So let's navigate to the part of the course. Let's talk about the course for a bit. How did you structured the course, and you've established this course to help people get started, but then you've also made it to where they can get pretty much access to you if they really want to get access to you as well too, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I wrote a book in 2018. That's
And
actually
I
how.
have it was a great read. It's a quick read too, but it was a great book.
Yeah, that's how Craig found me. It's called Airbnb Beginner's Guide to Hosting: How to Set Up and Run Your Own Airbnb Business. It's a super quick read, about 3 hours. It has like a cleaning checklist, it has a local guide, it has basically some blueprints, but it really starts at, you have a property, you're sure you want to do this. Okay, how do you jump into furnishing, setting your pricing, and, all the kind of ins and outs of the responsibilities. So it's very like a practical guide. The course is really set up for one-on-one support for people who are aspiring Airbnb hosts. So let's say you have this property, you're thinking about it, or you have a savings and you're ready to invest. Maybe you even want to buy a multifamily, which we can talk about too as well about that strategy. But you really just want to get started, but you need to do your due diligence first. So I've basically laid it out into 9 lessons. And the first lesson, we go into, what is this job about? What do you do as a host? What are your responsibilities? What does your daily life look like? What are your options if you want to hire a co-host, if you want to hire a company to take care of it for you? Like, what does the actual business feel like? And then we move into doing the competition research, doing the Air DNA. I have guides set up where you just, you read the guide, you look at the data, you answer the questions that I put there. It's not a super long course. I think there's 100 minutes of video, so it's about an hour and a half of video, and then you have these step-by-step guides with a workbook. So it's interactive. You're just going through the workbook, going through the lessons, going through the thing, and you're learning, right? So I teach about the cleaning operations. I teach about all the management techniques, because you don't have to host the guests or manage the cleaners. You can hire someone to do that for you. There's even a company called Evolve that's just started up. I think I might have mentioned that when I first spoke to you last year, and they take 10%. So they'll do the photos for you. They'll put your place on VRBO, Airbnb, and Booking.com if you want, with professional copywriting, professional photos, and they will market it for you and get top dollar for you. They take 10%, but then you just have your cleaners and your maintenance man set up for them to contact, and that's separate. So in that case, you wouldn't have to do any of the hosting whatsoever, any of the communications. And 10% is actually kind of a small fee to have that kind of professional service. So that's one technique you could go with. You could also do everything yourself. There are many different options. And what I explain in the course as well is like you can start in one place as a do it yourself, then you can move to hiring someone to take a certain point for you, and then you can move it completely to a property management, vacation rental management if you want. You can expand to other platforms. So there I kind of walk you through what your options are. And we make a business plan. So I have case studies. I have the blueprint where you just fill in the numbers, to have your projections, your ROI for the first year and for the second year. And what's really interesting about the case examples is that you'll see, let's say the first year profit is 15,000. But then you see the second year profit is 45,000 because you've made back your investment. You now are a super host. You can charge more. You're showing up more on the algorithm, things like that. So, yeah, I would say that the course really covers the due diligence of making sure this is right for you, holding your hand through making the business plan, holding your hand looking at the data and the competition, really vetting and showing you what your options are for hosting. And that I think is the most important because a lot of Airbnb courses, a lot of Airbnb experts or teachers, they're teaching you their formula. So they did rental arbitrage, they did, this thing, they give you scripts to talk to landlords, things like that. I would say the focus on my course is making sure that this is right for you in your local market and then showing you how to design the business to fit your chosen lifestyle. So let's say you're a full-time mom and you don't want to be available from this hour to this hour. And in all honesty, you'd really only like to work 3 days a week and be involved. The 4 days you'd like to have someone else take care of it for you. All of this is possible with Airbnb. And then I walk you through how to hire the cleaners, what to say with them, how to organize them, and then of course how to get reviews. I explain the review system. So yeah, I would say it's like super comprehensive, but really targeted to people who are aspiring hosts and they're just thinking about it, but they're not sure.
Oh, well, that's amazing. So, like, I think this course is going to be helpful for a lot of people. I'm actually interested in this course, and I'm actually like, man, I got to get into this course myself. Like, you got me so intrigued into what you've already put out on. Like I said, I got notes for days already here. But for the audience today, right? Lauren has actually came on and said, you know what, Craig? While I'm here, I'm going to actually discount this thing for people who actually want to get into this course in the next 3 weeks, 20% off, right?
Yeah,
So
totally.
let's talk about the price tiers.
Yeah, excellent. So I will say that, many people think about, what do I want for my life? What do I want to do with my life? What kind of work do I see myself in? What's my ideal lifestyle? And some of us don't allow ourselves to even dream that far because we have so many day-to-day responsibilities. It's like, okay, I just need to focus here. But where I kind of come at with this Airbnb course and with my program and supporting a new Airbnb hosts is like freedom, because for me freedom can come in many different forms. If it's financial freedom, if it's time freedom, if it's energetic freedom, is freedom to do what you want or be yourself. I would say that this course is designed to give you the kind of freedom that is most important to you. So if
Right.
financial freedom is the most important, then we'll just focus on cash flow and reinvesting, automating, and scaling, right? If it's more important for you, your time schedule, right? That you just don't want to be involved, but you want to make money on this, then we'll design the business like that. So I have the course set up. You can use the promo code Craig for the next 3 weeks. That's going to be until, around January 11th there. And it's going to be 20% off. And the course price is $399. And that comes with all the videos, all the guides. And it also comes with one-on-one email support for me for 2 months. So if you're starting up and you're going through the course and you have a question or you want me to send me some screenshots, look at your listing, look at your copy, you can email me and I will support you for 2 months with buying the course. Then I have what I call my program, which is $799, but I think you'd be getting that for around $550, something like that with the promo code. And there I'm going to do a one-on-one strategy session with you. So we'll meet on Zoom. The meeting can be 1 hour, it can be 2 hours, it can be 3 hours. It doesn't matter. You show me all your dreams, all your hopes. And this is where I like to reverse engineer. So I want to hear I want you to dream big. I want you to tell me in the perfect world, what would my life look like if you dare, imagine yourself there. And let's reverse engineer your business plan from that point. Okay, where do we start? What's the next milestone and all those kinds of things. So we do the strategy session for you of how you want to go about this. And then you go through the course. You have unlimited email support with me for 3 months, and you can always book additional one-on-ones if you want. And then I have what I call is my mastermind. That's a 6-month program. So we'll meet every week on Zoom, and we'll have a video call, and we'll build your business together for 6 months. every single week. You can email me. I'll help you with research and I'll just be holding your hand throughout the process. And that one is $7,000. But I would say with the discount, it's going to be something around 5,500 for you guys. And then you'll have something like 20 something one-on-one meetings with me.
That's
So
amazing. Wow.
yeah, I just really wanna pass on the freedom that I've been able to cultivate, because for me, like, the financial freedom is fantastic, but the lifestyle freedom was really what was most important to me.
That is what a lot of people, I think, are putting more value into lately, but they don't realize they're putting that value back into it. Because that's the same thing I'm on. I'm on getting my time and my life back. You know, like just do whatever I want to. Like that's how we talked about before we came on the air. So I appreciate that. For any listener who doesn't take advantage of this, don't come back to this show and talk about, can you have Lauren back on so she can give us some more details? And you didn't have the opportunity to take advantage of this at a 20% discount today for the next 3 weeks. And she was even more gracious enough to say, if you're listening to this in the future and you're not here with us today or within us in the next 3 weeks, if you come stumble across this in the next 6 months after the 20% discount, you can still get access to these courses with a 10% discount using the promo code Houston.
Yes, exactly. And I really want to one-on-one, as I said, reverse engineer it with you guys. I really feel like everybody's Airbnb host journey is totally unique and totally different. And that's where my course, that's where my service is coming from. I really don't think it's like a one shoe fits all situation here.
And that is perfect because that's what a lot of these other courses are probably, or the Airbnb gurus are doing. They're trying to tell you how they did it, and you should follow their blueprint. Where you're taking the opportunity to say, "Look, this shoe may not fit you, but we can find something that really works for you and help you the best way we possibly can, get you in the right direction."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And as I highlighted, I think throughout this conversation, like, it could be a spare room, it could be your friend, it could be a family property, it could be a beach villa, it could be, a weird tiny little place near the airport. I mean, there is an Airbnb host supply for everybody for wherever they're at on their vacation, on their business trip. I mean, even some people rent out camping spaces, on Airbnb, just
Right,
a place to put your tent. So, I just found that this was like with real estate. I mean, I think buying and selling real estate actually has like a lot more investment and a lot more, you really need to know about the equity and what you can do with the mortgage and things like that. But with Airbnb, if you just do these first few steps of due diligence, just make sure that there's no legislation that's going to make your investment illegal in a few months, right? That's just like a
right.
quick check we do. And then we do the business plan. We just see, okay, what are my actual projections for the first year and the second year? And then we go for the niche, which is based on everything I've
That
seen.
was my next question. Look at you.
Oh, nice. I just realized that was a big missing piece
No,
of the puzzle.
we was coming to that, but you are already on it. So let's get it. Let's get it. That was my
Nice.
question next.
Exactly. So you've looked at all your competition, you've written down what they're doing, what they're not doing, what you have, what you don't have. You know that you need to get a wide angle professional real estate photographer. They're not all equal. You really want someone that understands your selling and guest experience in the vacation. It's not just like photographing every corner for a house for sale. We really want someone that's going to capture the ambience and the mood, and we're going to stage the house a little bit. We're going to turn on the lights, open the curtains, have a lot of natural sunlight coming in, and we want to optimize the look of the property. So I would say getting the photography right is really important, but we just want to really check that, this is going to be profitable, and then design it to stand out. So what does nobody have that I can get? You know, what can I put in my place that no one else has? And it can be something as simple as like buying 2 yoga mats and you have a backyard and you say, "Okay, I have yoga mats for you if you want to do yoga out sunset yoga." And like
Mm,
I mean, that's like a kind of a silly example, but you could also have a popcorn maker and you can be like, by the way, enjoy movie night on our sink-in couch with the smart TV or whatever. And you're basically providing experiences that people can have in your space. It's not
right.
like you need to have a jacuzzi, you don't need to have any of these particular fancy things. You could get blackout curtains. That's something that's a super quick and easy attraction for people. Some people don't sleep well. I don't know exactly what the investment would be, but basically looking at what your competition has and then seeing what nobody has that you can get and then put inside your listing. That is going to be a no-brainer. They see your photography, which is not just about showing that you got a good photographer. The photography is communicating visually very strong, I'm safe, I'm trustworthy, I'm professional, this is a good value, this is a professional rental. So that's like really important to get bookings for conversion. But then also, you're just going to be offering a few little unique things that no one else has, that you're sure no one else has. And in general, I'd say when you're writing your copy and description, you want to be not just saying, I have this, 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 this. You describe the experience. So enjoy a movie night in the wraparound couch, with our Roku. Enjoy a cup of tea outside on the patio, in the backyard. So you're basically kind of
Right.
painting a
Right.
picture of what they're going to do in your space.
Telling the story through the description and make me want to stay.
Yeah, but I would say, like, getting to your point, also my point about the niche too, is like that also depends on demographic. So this is where it gets a little more complex, but I think it's still pretty understandable. So based on the space you have, the location, what you saw in the competition, and then also your personal comfort zone, I've had some consultations with clients where it's like they're retiring and they want to set up their Airbnb for older travelers. They're like, I
Mhm.
want to decorate and have like people over 50 stay here. That's what I feel comfortable hosting. Those are the kind of travelers that I want to talk to. So let's decorate and organize the listing to where it's kind of like more of the baby boomer generation would be attracted to it. There's some hosts that are like, you know what? I want to have this like bubble on my property. I'm ordering this bubble and I want to make this really unique, alien themed experience. And, I want to charge this much per night and I'm going to give them these treats when they arrive. And they create more of like a thematic experience. And that's more like Gen Z, millennial, or, they have like a specific demographic they're going after for that. Some people just want to be family friendly. They want to have, okay, this place, is like comfortable. It has all the functional things that a family would need because family travelers are in general a higher ticket. They have a bigger
Right.
budget for the vacation. And if you have those few little games for the kids, if you have a few little baby things and you say, I'm a family friendly host on your listing, amazing. If you want to go into the niche of businessman, business travelers, and you want to have a few business friendly amenities and highlight those, have a little office nook set up, get the fastest Wi-Fi that you can, tell the speed of your Wi-Fi. You want to attract business travelers. Maybe you're near an airport. Maybe you're near a business center. You can kind of pick and choose who you specifically want to target, and that would be your niche. And I say that would affect your decorations probably and the aesthetic of your place. But it doesn't necessarily need to be that way. You can just set up a nice looking place and attract everybody.
Right. So now, would you get any of this demographic data from AirDNA?
I don't think that they don't have any of this
Okay.
particular.
Gotcha.
I would say this is more of like a soft kind of soft skill in the
Gotcha.
analyzation.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, and
That's where you're going with. I was just trying to see if there would there be some type of resource or tools for people who would not be able to identify easily for themselves.
yeah, I can give a few tips on that. So first thing is going to be like, are you starting from scratch with a big budget, or are you already have a bunch of furniture and you have a smaller budget and you're just going to be kind of like piecing together what you can to tie together what you already have access to for
Mhm.
free? A lot of hosts start like that. So then it would be, what can I do with what I have versus I'm designing an experience from scratch. And if you're designing from scratch, you have a lot of flexibility because you can do a minimalist design. And that's actually really attractive to a lot of travelers. And it also depends your location, like the cottage
Right.
example that I gave. If you're near an airport, I would put some convenience things like, make it more convenient so people that are coming in and out of the airport can come fast. And yeah, in general, I'd say the demographic is definitely more of a soft skill, but it depends too, I guess, on your personality, who you're more comfortable interacting with. and what your style is. You know, a lot of hosts might just want to decorate in an environment that they would feel comfortable in, and then they attract guests that share that similar aesthetic. It's a little more tricky if you're going to totally design a new Airbnb with an interior design that you don't really enjoy and that you don't have any familiarity with, picking a style. But if you have a big budget, I would recommend hiring an interior designer. I think it's definitely worth it because when you get the right look and the right aesthetic and the right photography and the right operations in the right market, this is a super profitable business. I mean, I'm talking you make back your initial investment in the first few months and then you're in profit, you know, from there on a few $1,000s a month. I mean, there are many, many, many stories of, you know, 21, 22-year-olds making 100 grand a month because they just picked the right location and, you know, had a nice aesthetic and they were attracting the people. If you're in a big city, you can go for, you know, a more detailed niche, I would say, because there's much more people coming through. If you're in a smaller place, you may want to be a little bit more generalized.
Okay, so we're that's great targeted information because that's what I really was wanting to know. How did you identify niches in certain areas if you needed to? And I think my next question is, but one of the things that you kind of you glanced at for a minute, but you said we'll come back to, and I really want to talk about multifamily. Okay, so how does one take advantage of multifamily as we decide to wrap this up here on basically what's the advantages of having a multifamily property and turning that most of that into Airbnb, 75%, 80% of it into Airbnb?
Amazing. So, do you want me to start with talking about like looking for a multifamily to invest in and then turning it into an Airbnb? Or if someone like already knows they want to buy a multifamily and what would be the advantages of doing
No,
Airbnb?
why? Well, no, why not, Lauren? Let's talk about it from the standpoint of let's even identify how to get to an investment property of a multifamily. I like that. I like the topic. That's right up my alley. I love it.
Amazing, 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 amazing. So, yeah, I actually, in the past few months, actually learned a lot on this topic and came to my attention that there are a few different options. You probably know about being in the military and the Navy and stuff. There's a special kind of loan available
Yeah,
for
this
you.
it's the VA loan, or
Yes.
most people you get a multifamily either on a VA loan or FHA loan if they can. That's what they're really. FHA you get 3.5% down, and then if you're doing a VA loan, if you're a veteran, you qualify for zero, no money down, right? No money down, and all you have to do is put earnest money in, and hopefully if you get seller, well, you're in the market now where seller concessions may be a thing. So if you get seller concessions, the seller may give you the closing costs to close the property, and you just walk into a house with no payment.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, in the last few months, I learned, like I said, a lot more on this topic. So basically, there exists this amazing investment opportunity
Right.
in America. It's called the FHA loan of
Yep.
multifamilies. So I believe the credentials are like a 580 credit score, more or less,
Right about
3.5.
there. Yep.
Yeah, 3.5, I mean, minimum. Then we have a 3.5% down, and then you can basically launch yourself into a multifamily property. So that's gonna be
Yep.
a duplex, that's gonna be a 3-unit apartments, it could be a home, it could be a small apartment building or 4, right? You
Yep.
could also do this without the FHA, but it's gonna be, I think, 10, 15, 20%
Yeah, you can get a
closing
conventional.
costs.
Well, I think you can get a conventional. I have a lender friend who was just on the podcast yesterday. I should have asked him this, but I think you can get a conventional with like 10%. I think you can get 10% down. You don't have to put the full 8, you don't have to put the full 20 down, but it still just mean your PMI is gonna be higher. But on the FHA as well, too, just one caveat is depends on what county that you live in. The max that you can have is like 90,000 in income. That's like the
Mm.
max FHA. Yeah. So if you make over 90, if you're not in a special county, you only can get that property up to that income. Well, your income can only be that much to get the FHA loan qualification.
Oh, okay. I didn't know there was an income cap for the
Yeah,
FHA.
there's an income cap. Like it's like here in it's so crazy, right? Because it's supposed to be for like fair. FHA loans are pretty much for properties around the county where they like in lower income areas too, where you can still qualify for. But there's properties in Virginia Beach where you can qualify for a bigger cap on your income, where it's like 120, I think is the cap. So like it's really weird. It's like a map outline in your county where they show where FHA income limits are pushed higher. Depends on the area. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
new information to me. And I mean, imagining that that's just one area, and then you imagine the whole United States, what kind of varying
Yeah.
um,
So I
things.
think I don't know if it's based on city or county, but I know it's based on just that. I know in Virginia right now, Virginia Beach is like the only county where you can actually see the cap go to 120 from 90.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is like very, very interesting, this investment route. So there are a few different options here, and feel free to chirp in and add because I think you'll also know more than me in certain aspects of this for sure. But like you can even do this with a partner. So let's say, you have the cash and they have the 580. Oh, you need 2 years of employment.
Yep.
Right,
You
right,
gotta have
right,
2 years in
right.
employment. Yep. Taxes. You gotta be able to show that you have taxes for 2 years. You're right about that.
Yeah, a W-2, right?
W2.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. So you need the 580, the W-2, and then you need this income for the down payment and adjusted what your income is. You can do this with someone where and then the agreement is that let's say it's $100,000 building, you're going to put 3.5% down, so that's $3,500. How much would you say is like maybe a low ball for the closing costs on that transaction?
We always tell people to prepare for at least 6% of closing costs. Usually it runs around about 4%, but typically you never know what other things may pop up that you may have to take care of to close. So about 6% is rough, but you usually come around about 4.5%.
Great. So I'm going to paint this picture as like you and a business partner. Maybe it's a sister or a parent or something like that for the listeners. But you can also just imagine yourself doing this yourself if you have all those things already. So let's say, I don't have a W-2 because I've been self-employed for quite a while, right? So I could potentially, partner with my sister. She has had a steady job for 2 years. She's got the credit score, but maybe I have the cash, right? So we make a legal contract together. We find this multi-unit, for studios, maybe like newly renovated, turnkey, stainless steel, totally up to code, looking nice in a decent location. Because one thing people need to know also, when you do Airbnb, a lot of out of town travelers have no idea where they are.
Sure don't.
If you can just highlight, like, I'm 10 minutes away from this amazing thing, I'm 2 minutes away from this amazing cafe, whatever. If you can highlight the benefits of the location and easy access points, it doesn't matter if you're in the downtown hotspot. You could be 5 minutes from the hotspot, say you're 5 minutes from it, and even say, I'm in a quiet place that's not bothered by the noise of the hotspot. There's so many ways to position your rental, right? Based on what you're working with. But yeah, let's say me and my sister are going in on this. So we need, $100,000 for, 4 studios. Then let's say we need $7,000 basically to cover everything and it's turnkey, right? And we're going to scrounge around for furniture. So I think the rule is one person, the main person, that's doing this FHA, they need to live in one of the units for a year. And
Right.
the technicalities of that is like 6 months of the year you need to sleep there or something like that.
Right. And if you want exemption from the capital gains tax rules, you got to live there 2 years.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you get a capital gains tax exemption if you're single. It's up to 125, I believe. It's
Mhm.
125 single, and I think 250 married if you're actually living in the property as your primary residence over 2 years.
Okay, great. So in this example, let's say my sister, she's going to move in. She's super happy because she's in her 20s and she's single. And she's like, oh, wow, I'm a real estate investor now. I don't mind living in this studio alone, right? So she's really flexible. She's there. Well, we furnish all the other Airbnbs. And Richmond, where my sister lives, it's a decently sized city, and people come in to visit family. There's a good flow of travelers coming through Richmond using Airbnb. So let's say we make each apartment a different theme, right? We have like this one, that one, that one, and we show on our listing, I'm a super host, I have these 3 available, and then you have one listing where you rent out all of them together. So then it's like parties of 10, parties of 15, people coming into town for weddings, things like that. They can all stay near each other and they have this kind of fun, Instagram friendly Airbnb unique experience, right? And then the cash flow that's coming in from these Airbnbs, I can then show, later what my cash flow was. Because maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on this, Craig, but multi-units are their value is determined by their cash flow.
Yep, facts. If it's not your primary residence and you're renting it out, the value, the appraisal value is actually on cash flow value. It's the intent of the cash flow. So your property, if you ever wanted to go back to list it on the market, you wouldn't be listing it for as a primary residence. You'll be showing it as the value of how much it actually appraises for based on how much cash flow it actually generated over the years.
Exactly. And this is where you're just printing money from thin air. Because let's say, I hired a broker, or, I'm going to pay my broker, real estate broker, the fee, for the closing. And I get this broker that finds me an amazing deal, right? It's this newly renovated place. It was vacant for, half vacant for the last 2 years. So there's been no cash flow on it, right? It's been losing money. So I'm getting the value of it is low because it wasn't generating cash. So the price point I'm buying it versus how much I'm going to make by doing Airbnb, because when I have a successful Airbnb that's running, I'm making much more than long-term tenants, Let's say these studios I would get 1,000 because they're an amazing location and they're, turnkey renovated, and then I would be getting 3,000 a month in tenant rent. But let's say I've made these super cool studios and I'm getting 150 a night, and in each Airbnb I'm bringing in 4,000, so I'm bringing in 12,000 a month on these three
That
Airbnbs.
is so weird because now I'm like running as you were talking about this. I'm running through my head. I don't even know if appraisers are even doing that. That is a good question.
Considering Airbnb income,
Yes. Yes. I don't even know if they're doing that.
meaning like legally they can do that, or
I've never heard of a situation. I've never heard of a situation where the appraiser was collecting Airbnb information from the owner, the seller, to utilize in their appraised value. I haven't heard that one yet.
oh, okay,
But that may
yeah,
be a thing. I just don't know that for a fact.
yeah, I have seen some real estate investors discussing this and talking about how they were going to meetings of investors and developments where they were going to do this model to generate and up the cash flow. So I can imagine it may vary based on wherever you are, what city
No,
or
I'm
county.
gonna I'm gonna find me an appraiser. I'm gonna ask because that's really interesting. Because why would it not count? Because you would be making more money essentially instead of having a tenant. And if you can prove to a buyer that you're buying something from me that's going to generate you a cash cow, if you just follow the business model, why would I not get the value from that?
Yeah, and I can imagine there being like a wiggle room in between. Like for the example I gave, 3,000 because, for example, my sister's staying in one, so there are only 3 units available. I would get 3,000 just with long-term tenants, or I would get 12,000 a month with this Airbnb model. There are like expenses, in the Airbnb, a little bit more than long-term tenants. Obviously, I'm doing furniture, I'm buying bedding, my utilities might be higher or not, depends. But there are some expenses. But, when I'm going to sell that property, I can show, based on these numbers and, my return on investment, this is what this building could be worth, if you follow the business model. But I'm willing to take, like right in the middle, like half, like as if I was making 7,000 a month. But
Yeah.
this particular point is great to highlight in general with real estate, that people know that, because even if you find a broker that finds you a great deal, it's had no cash flow, it's been kind of empty, and then you do some building upgrades, and you get some new tenants that are paying more, you've just printed money, you've just raised the value of the property, and then you can sell it, you can get the equity, buy another property, and you can just continue to print money from thin air because you're, enhancing this calculation to your benefit.
That is amazing. Like I'm really interested in learning more about that because this multifamily thing does make sense. It makes so much sense to do it that way. And I think one of the fair things that hopefully we see over the next few years is that regulation comes in to help this business model take off a little bit more and be more seamless. But really and truly, that is an interesting take, because not only is the equity going up in the property that someone's going to want to buy, but then the cash flow on top of that equity compounds it into a big deal. Like, you could almost get 2 or 3 of those and live on those for 10 years and then sell them, and then that's probably could be like income that you never have to worry about ever again in your life. It could be life-changing income.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's say, we got this building for 100,000, and then we were just able to upgrade it, maybe market it as a cool building for young entrepreneurs. Maybe we put some, cool art in the entrance, or made something, we made like an experience or a theme to this multifamily, or, we advertised it that it's for, young entrepreneurs, or anyway, I don't know exactly, because it wouldn't necessarily have a lobby, but let's just say we upgraded the building that we bought, and we're looking for tenants, and trying to attract certain kinds of tenants, and they're willing to pay more, right?
Right.
So then, based on my cash flow from the last 2 years, from what it was before when I bought it, the appraised value is now, double, or 1.5. So I've just printed $50,000 for myself,
Right.
basically,
Based on you
because
just running a small business inside of a home.
they'll be doing the operations, just
Yes.
and just enhancing the operations. And I think a lot of people who just do real estate investing, this is just what they're doing. They're just looking for deals. Then they're going to get new tenants, change the calculations, and then they're just going to sell it, have that to reinvest in another property, and they just keep doing that. And after 2 or 3 of these deals, they're a millionaire.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I
And
like I
what's
like I like the details of this.
Yeah, and a lot of people have credit cards, like with 15,000, 10,000, or they take out, 3 new credit cards, each have a 3,000 limit. So essentially you could buy a piece of real estate with a
Yeah.
credit card, and then,
Do
become a
your thing.
landlord. Yeah. And it is good to throw in a little bit of realistic threat to this business model, which is like, sometimes tenants don't move out, sometimes tenants make problems. There are things as, landlord issues that you have to deal with tenants, but I'd rather have my place stay empty a little longer, find the right tenant that I feel more comfortable with, than quickly fill my vacancies and kind of roll the dice.
That's so crazy. Like I didn't pay you to say that either. Like, that is so crazy that you just said that, like, without me even bringing it up, because that's what I said like 2 podcasts ago. I said it's like 2 or 3 podcasts ago, where people are living a life now where they don't even care if they get a tenant for 60 days. Like, they know they're charging so much rent right now that they'll rather have a place be vacant for 60 days and find the right tenant, like you just suggested, and put that person in it, then versus giving you a discount at $1,700 to move in. They'll just fork it over themselves and get the right person who's going to pay the premium.
No, I have direct experience with this. Uh, I will say problematic tenants are like literally a nightmare, you know?
Yeah, so that's a podcast for a different day. We definitely got to have a podcast on that. That's amazing. Wow.
Oh, I
Like,
don't know.
oh man, wow. Laura, this has been so much fun. I appreciate this time. I am glad that however long it took for us to get this together, we finally made it happen. Um, where can the audience find you if they want to get in contact with you?
Yeah, so they can definitely find me on Facebook. They can all definitely find me on my website. They can also find me directly in the course Teachable, and they can also find me on Amazon with the book. So I'll definitely be sure to have all those links in the show notes for everybody. So depending on how they want to contact me. And also, I'm a brand ambassador for Airbnb, which basically means Airbnb has reached out to me and said, hey, if you mentor new hosts for us, we'll pay you kind of a big bonus. So if you use my link and you sign up for your new hosting, you'll get direct access to me on Airbnb, and you can send me unlimited messages throughout your hosting journey. You just need to be a new host and make your first listing with my link. So that's a free way to get mentorship from me. I do highly recommend the course for all the reasons we've discussed today. I just really want you to vet your dream before you completely dive into it. And also, I want you to take action. I really want you to take action and start this business. It's totally possible. It's totally amazing. I just want to make sure that you have all the legs to the business set up first, so you don't find yourself down the line feeling discouraged like that.
I think that people will actually. I want. I'm gonna have to check back in on you and see how many people actually sign up for this course, because I think this is people always say they want to do something. People always say they want to make the change in their life to make more money, make more income, live the life they want to live. And right now, I really feel like there's a blueprint that you already outlined on how they can actually do this. And it's not going to be easy, folks. I don't want anyone to think that what Lauren is suggesting is totally easy at all. It's going to be pain. There's going to be pain in anything that you want to come to the other side of as a success story. And you got to be willing to understand that you got to make the investment. You got to deal with the struggle. You got to learn through the struggle, and then understand how to eliminate the things that were the obstacles in your struggle to actually get to the other end of it. So that, to me, is what you are providing the opportunity to do. And people are, and honestly, I'm not going to even sit here and try to like act like you're giving a discount on this, like discount on the pain, right? So people should be jumping for joy for it. And you could have gave it away for free and nobody would sign up for it. Like, you may get a lot more people to sign up for it because you actually put a price on it.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And you know what I will say though, it definitely takes hard work. And I would say there's not that much struggle or pain if you have the right mindset. And for
Mm,
me, the right mindset is actually really easy to come by, because this is like a really rewarding, flexible, customizable business. So like when I was getting everything set up, I was so excited because I knew that I was going to be my own boss and that I was going to meet people and that I was going to provide joy to people. So, because of the review system, you get instant feedback on how you're doing. So, I set everything up nice. I had great photography. I took care of people. Anything I wasn't doing, people let me know. And then I could instantly do it. And then once you hit that sweet spot of you kind of know what you're doing, you're getting all these amazing reviews. And then you're getting these letters like this long of like, we had the best vacation. We had so many, family experiences we'll never forget in your place. I mean, I've gotten literally hundreds of, thank you letters that just give me full chills, right? So it's like you put good energy in, you put good intention in, you work hard to make it clean, you work hard to make it beautiful, you find the best photographer you can, and then you get like all this gratitude back. It's not like you're serving and getting taken advantage of. It's not like someone else is profiting from your work. You get direct benefits based on the effort that you put in, and actually you get people being really nice to you. And I'm yet to find any job or any business where people are nice to me because I did a good job, like really nice to me. Like the
really,
better
that's
I do at
really
my job,
impactful.
the kinder people are to me. Yeah. And like, in general in life, when you get those thank you letters of like, what you did for me made a difference in my life and I'll never forget it. And I couldn't have done it without you. I mean, just the energetic fulfillment and the kind of the soul food that comes with that, to enjoy your life and to have a good positive self-image and to have motivation to keep going and to get through the struggles and the pains of living a human life, right? So it was such a I actually got off social media when I started Airbnb hosting because I was getting so much fulfillment just from chatting with my guests. Like I was
Wow.
having so much fun being like, "Hey, where are you? How's it going? Oh, good. Oh, did you go to this bistro? Oh, you loved it? Oh, they're sending me selfies of them and the places I recommended." Like I was having fun, like hosting these people. They became my new friends. And a lot of people are scared about welcoming strangers into their homes and stuff, but I had a few people that were just those people that see life as a terrible experience, and all
Mhm.
they have to how they have to say is a complaint. There were like a few of those out of the 4,000 guests that I had, and other than that, it was just like really nice people having a great time.
Wow. Well, Lauren, we are definitely going to have to catch up again. I can't believe that we made this episode happen, and I think this is going to be so rewarding for a lot of people. If the audience does not have notes like I have rewind this video to catch some of the things that you have dropped nuggets on. they are totally missing out. I appreciate this tremendously. This has been a work in progress for a long time, and we have both came full circle on all the things that we said we was doing at the same time to make, and then we made this video happen. So once again, I want to thank you, and I appreciate the time.
Thanks so much, Craig. I really encourage all the listeners to send me an email. I'll put my email in there. And like, I'm super happy just to get you guys, get your wheels turning. You know, that's really what I want to do, is activate you to start taking steps towards your dream.
We're going to put everything, every way that you can contact Lauren. We're going to put it in the show notes, and we're definitely going to make sure you get the links to her Teachable course, so that way you can actually take advantage of that as well. So,
Yeah.
Lauren, will you stand by for? Oh, go. You got one more thing?
Yeah, I would say right now is actually the best time, because most places in the United States, the high season is going to be summertime. That's going to be like May, June, July, August. Those are the months where you get so much more money for your rental. So now is actually an amazing time to learn and to start and to plan and be set up and be ready for that time.
I agree. That's going to be, housing market is going to be booming once again once the spring started turning too. So I can see real estate and vacation property starting to get a lot of business and churn at that point. So that's a great point too. So take action today. Take action today, folks. Okay. So Lauren, I appreciate it. We'll catch you in the next video. Stand by for me, please.
Thanks.